Hi everyone, it's Callie from Payne. In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to paint a blue tit. For this project, I'll be using 4 paint colors: Cadmium Yellow, Sap Green, Prussian Blue, and Payne's Gray. If you don't have these colors, just find something similar. As for brushes, I'd recommend a small fine tip brush, such as a number 0 or number 3, and then something a little larger like a number 8. You can go even larger with a size 10 or 12 if you'd like. These are great for applying a lot of color at once. And then lastly, I'll be painting this on Coldpress paper. Once you get a sketch completed, let's get started painting. The first color we'll be adding is our yellow. Really load up your brush with some saturated yellow and apply it here to the breast. And then I'm going to dilute my yellow paint a little by adding some water to it, and then I'll add this paint to the bird as well. The next color we'll be adding is Sap Green. I'm going to add some water to my paint just to dilute it, and then I'm going to add it to the upper part of the bird. I'm adding this paint to dry paper. And then I'm just going to poke in some color into the wash down here. And I'm going to create a mark here for the feather, and I'm dabbing some more green here. And then using a small round brush, I'm going to dip into yellow paint and paint out some hairs along the edge of the wash. I'm doing this while my wash is still wet. And then using the same round brush, I'm going to dip into my sap green and add that to the wash as well. And then I'm going to add some Payne's Gray to the edge of the wash here. I'm going to gently create out a shape of a feather here. And then using Payne's Gray again, I'm going to add a little bit to the end of the wash here. And then I'm dip the small brush into Payne's Gray and draw out a leg. I'm going to keep the leg pretty abstract. And then some peeking talons over here. And then next, let's add some Payne's Gray along the head. We're just going to create this black band here. My wash is still wet. If your wash is drying too fast, you might not be using enough water. I'm going to dab in some more green. And now I'll be switching to using Prussian Blue. I'm going to dab some in over here, and then some along the black band. And now let's allow things to dry. You can either allow things to air dry or use a blow dryer to speed up the process. And then using my Russian blue still, I'm going to create some feather shapes right here. Use about a 50-50 water to paint ratio. Next, in order to increase the contrast, I'm going to switch to using Payne's Gray. I'm going to add a little bit of Payne's Gray here. You can see I'm leaving some rounded shapes to represent the feathers. And then here I'm adding some saturated pigment. In order to get your paint really saturated, don't use too much water. I'm going to create a little shadow over here along this feather. And then some more Prussian blue. And And then into the wash, I'm also going to dab in some Prussian Blue. And then next, load up a number 8 round brush with some Prussian Blue paint and add some tail feathers. If you need to test out these feathers on a separate piece of paper, you might want to do that. And then some more Sap Green down here. And then while the wash down here is still wet, I'm adding in some more yellow. And now let's add some wet on dry details to the face. I'm using my small round brush and a Sap Green Payne spray to add these little hairs. And then some talons. And a little detail on the feather. The paint's blending into the wet tail feathers a little. I'm adding some extra colors to the wash here. This will add some variation. I'm adding a little Prussian Blue. And if you want to, you can add some paint splatters around your bird. Just load up a round brush with some paint and flick it onto the paper. Next, let's dry this piece. You can either allow it to air dry or use a blow dryer like I am here. And now that things are dry, we just need to add some details to the head of the bird. For the beak, we're going to carefully paint it out with a small round brush and Payne's gray paint. Start by outlining the shape of the beak with a saturated amount of paint. And then dip your brush into water and gently blend things out. You might need to keep dipping your brush back into water. And now let's start painting the black band around the eye. Again, use saturated amount of Payne's gray paint. I'm going to zoom in so we can really see those details. I'm just creating short little marks here. Then add some saturated paint above the beak. And draw a thin line to separate the beak. I lost a little definition, so I'm just redefining some areas. And then I'm going to start filling in the eye a little bit. I'm leaving some white dots here for the highlights in the eye. And to create some lighter values, I'm using a diluted amount of blue paint. And I'll also add that to the white area over here. On top of the bird's head is a little crest of blue. Let's add some diluted blue over here. And then on top of the head, add a saturated amount of blue paint. And then dip your paintbrush into water and blend out that saturated paint. By blending out the saturated paint, you'll create a gradient. To blend out the paint, move your brush from left to right while also moving down. And then some more feather marks on the front of the head. And now this wash is just very lightly damp. I'm going to dip my clean brush into water, and I'm going to create blooms into the wash. The eye needs a little bit more definition, so let's go back in with some Payne's Gray. And a few more drops of water for blooms on the head. This will also lighten the pigment a little bit. And now let's start filling in that band with some more gray paint. And there's also some gray on the back of the head over here. I'm going to blend things out a little after dipping my brush into some water. And here I'm just adding some blobs to look like paint splatters. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. And then on this white area, add a diluted amount of gray paint for some shadows. Just try to keep your paint very diluted and light. And now I just need to add some finishing details and this piece is complete. Thank you so much for watching as I paint this piece. If you decide to share it online, please remember to credit me, and also use the hashtag #PaintedWingClub. Let me know below what you'd like to see me paint next. Otherwise, I hope you have the rest of your day. Bye now.